They came not with a declaration of war, but with a silent consensus. Humanity had run its course. In a rare alliance between the galaxy's greatest powers, the Saltari Dominion, the Varnock Mindswarm, and the Okari Ascendancy formed the Trifold Accord, a pact forged not in diplomacy, but in fear. Humanity's rapid expansion, unpredictable behavior, and savage wars had shaken the old order. The Accord decided humanity must be erased before it could threaten the stars. The attack began at 4 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Earth's orbital defense grid blinked red, too late. Swarms of particle beams tore through the stratosphere, igniting global firestorms. Lunar colonies went dark. Interplanetary communications severed. In under an hour, the planet's surface cracked open like a shattered shell. In the heart of the solitary flagship Vengeance of Harmony, Admiral Dryan watched Earth's destruction through her oblong command viewport. A species that once dared to scream across the stars now whimpered beneath her gaze. "Order restored," she muttered. "Unstable variables removed." But the Admiral had missed something in the black. Beyond Neptune, drifting inside the magnetized chaos of the outer system, the stealth cruiser Iron Requiem floated, cloaked and forgotten. It had been a deep space recon vessel, running silent for nearly 6 months. A relic, a ghost. Now it was all that remained. Commander Aisha Rice stood in the central bridge, backlit by red emergency lights. Half her face was scared metal, her left eye a pulsing optic. Cybernetic veins ran down her neck, the result of a Varnock neural toxin that should have killed her years ago. But like Earth, she had a habit of surviving what should have ended her. "Feed's gone dark," her comms officer whispered, voice cracking. "Not dark," Rice said flatly. "Burned out." The main screen showed only static and one flickering image. Earth, wreathed in flame. Rice locked her gaze onto the inferno. Her jaw tightened, her synthetic hand clenched until servos whined. A lesser commander might have wept. She didn't. Her voice, though metallic and modulated, sliced the silence like a blade. "Patch a channel to all Accord frequencies." The officer hesitated, then obeyed. Rice leaned into the console's mic. Her voice echoed across deep space, on every band the enemy used. "Greater than to the Trifold Accord. Greater than you tried to end us. You scorched our soil, silenced our skies, and shattered our cities. Greater than, but you forgot who we are. Greater than we are not born of peace. Greater than we are forged in war. Greater than you didn't finish us. Greater than you woke us." She paused. Then, "We're coming." The message broadcasted. The signal echoed through enemy relays and into dark systems that had never heard such fury. By the time the Exaltari decoded it, the Iron Requiem was already gone. Engines cold, trails scrubbed, purpose set. In the aftermath of annihilation, humanity was dead. But something older, harder, and far more dangerous had taken its place. 3 years passed. In the civilized heart of the galaxy, humanity was a ghost, a cautionary tale, a footnote in alien history books titled The Final Human War. The Trifold Accord celebrated their pacification campaign with parades on crystalline moons and broadcasted declarations of eternal peace. But in the lawless dark, the fractured systems, the forgotten space lanes, the derelict mining colonies, they heard the black echo. It started small. A Varnock supply convoy went missing near the gravity well of Cygnus IV. Then a Xaltari science station was found melted from within, walls scorched. The crew turned to ash. No survivors. No warnings. Just a single phrase carved into metal walls by plasma fire. Greater than we remember. They blamed pirates, saboteurs, rogue synths, anything but the truth. But the truth had a name. The Ember Pact. Born aboard the Iron Requiem, the Ember Pact was no longer just a crew. It had become a resistance. Rice had built an army from the ashes. Mercenaries, surviving humans from outer colonies, escaped prisoners from Okari cryovaults. She found them in the black, and gave them purpose. She also found relics, hidden caches of Earth's most dangerous technology, scattered by Black Ops fleets before the culling. Cloaking grids, nanite plagues, EMP thumpers that could scramble an entire city's memory. With each raid, the pact grew more precise, more surgical. The Accord didn't know how they moved, couldn't trace their burns. By the time officials realized it was coordinated, the Ember Pact had already hit 12 targets across 4 sectors. In their stolen war room aboard the Vanguard's fall, Rice stood before a flickering holomap. Red X marked every successful operation. Behind her stood her inner circle, hardened survivors, hybrid tacticians, and her AI warmind companion, Vanta, plugged directly into the ship's neural net. Vanta's voice filled the chamber, cool, female, eerily calm. Greater than Zaltari Fleet Command has flagged the Ember Pact as a Class 1 existential threat. Reyes didn't smile, but her voice sparked with dry satisfaction. Took them long enough. A grizzled ex-Marine stepped forward. "What's the next burn, Commander?" Reyes turned to the map. Her eyes glowed faintly blue from the optic implant. Her finger stabbed toward a blinking marker. The graveyard. A Varnak research facility buried in a dead system. Rumors claimed it was where they stored the minds of captured humans, downloaded and dissected for study. Thousands of them. Still conscious, still screaming in the dark. "We go there," Reyes said. "We take it apart. We bring them back." Someone whispered, "We don't even know if their minds are stable." "We stabilize them," she said coldly, "or we burn it all down." She turned away from the flickering lights. "Greater than either way, the galaxy will remember this. Greater than we're not ghosts. Greater than we're the fire you tried to bury." And across the stars, the black echo grew louder. The system had no name, only a designation, VX-443, buried deep in a pocket of gravitational anomalies, where light itself bent unnaturally. Even star maps marked it as hazardous, uninhabitable. The perfect place to hide a crime against humanity. The Ember Pact emerged from fold space in silence. No comms, no warning. Just the cold drift of battle-worn ships ready for a raid unlike any other. Aboard the Vanguard's fall, Commander Reyes stood in the drop bay as her soldiers donned black exosuits with ember-red visors. They moved like shadows wrapped in armor. She looked to her second-in-command, Ashwin Cole, a former neurohacker who'd once escaped from an Alkari vivisection tank. "We go in, we find the mines," Reyes said. "We bring them home. If we can't." Cole nodded grimly. "Then we burn this graveyard to stardust." The graveyard itself was a Varnak research station, a jagged biomechanical spire piercing through a shattered moon. Its outer hull pulsed like a slow heartbeat, a grotesque blend of organic matter and machine. Inside, the halls echoed with wet clicks and distant static screams. Reyes led the breach. They fought through Varnak defense drones, arachnid horrors with bone needle limbs and liquefying plasma shots. But the packed soldiers moved with vengeance in their blood and fire in their hands. They swept room by room, cutting through the meat-metal corridors toward the core chamber. And there, they found them. Racks, hundreds, thousands, containment tubes filled with pale blue fluid, each housing a neural core. Suspended in silence, these cores held what was left of their people, digitized consciousness trapped in endless simulated torment, a holo activated, flickering to life with the face of a Varnak overseer. It spoke with insectile arrogance. "Greater than human minds are quite flexible. We've learned much from their resistance, so much pain, so much potential." Reyes shot the emitter mid-sentence. She approached the control column and removed a black drive from her gauntlet. "Cole, upload the graveyard protocol." "You're sure about this?" he asked, hesitating. "Run it." The protocol was Reyes' final card, an untested neural algorithm designed to do one thing: restore and recompile fragmented human consciousness into something whole, or something close. The system screamed. Lights flared. Tubes shattered. The cores pulsed, and one by one, something moved. What stepped out of those tanks was not quite human anymore. Their bodies were biomechanical, built from stolen Varnock prototypes and human muscle memory. Their eyes burned red gold. Their voices were layered with synthetic echo. But inside each one, buried under pain and code, was a human soul. They were the first of the eco-revenants. One looked at Reyes, half his skull transparent and glowing. His voice trembled, both human and not. Greater than we died. Screaming, "You brought us back." Reyes nodded. "You want vengeance." He smiled, slow and jagged. "We want justice." The station detonated behind them, reduced to dust and light. No records remained. No captors survived. But across the galaxy, new messages began to spread on intercepted Accord frequencies. Greater than they've returned. Greater than they're human. Greater than, and they burn. The Akari called it Xerxes Null, a moon carved into a fortress, hidden within a fractured star cluster. But to the Ember Pact, it had only one name, Betrayer's Moon. For here ruled Admiral Silas Mare, once a hero of Earth, now its executioner. It was Mare who had brokered the secret deal with the Trifold Accord. His signature was on the surrender protocols. His voice, the final calm before Earth died. In exchange, the Akari made him warden of their human contingency program. He'd sold his species for a throne. From the bridge of the Vanguard's fall, Ray stared at a holographic rendering of the moon, a massive spire of obsidian and chrome, laced with defense grids and artificial gravity wells. "Is it true?" Ashwin Cole asked. "Mare's alive." Reyes didn't respond at first. Her eyes were locked on the data stream. Enemy fleet specs, orbital patterns, defensive blind spots, all the pieces falling into place. Her voice was calm, but lethal. "He's not alive," she said. "He's just breathing." The plan was surgical. Hit the gravity anchors, drop from subspace, disable the dreadnought, and infiltrate the spire. But the Okari were waiting. A trap. The Vanguard's fall took a direct plasma lance to the aft. Engines crippled, half the crew lost instantly. Reyes stood unshaken amid the chaos. Plan B. With emergency thrusters, they slingshot a stolen drop pod directly at the spire's core. The breach was brutal. Walls collapsing, revenants pouring out like fire given form. Echo soldiers ripped through Akari exoguards, plasma-cleaving alloy, synthetic claws finding weak points. And then, Reyes found him. In a glass-paneled throne room overlooking space, Admiral Mare stood tall in ceremonial armor, face untouched by time, preserved by Akari augmentation. A traitor in gold. "Isha," he said, voice smooth, familiar. "You could have ruled beside me. We could have saved some of us, on their terms." "You call that salvation?" she growled. "You killed Earth. I saved what I could." He gestured out the window. "Look at you. You've become exactly what they feared. A virus." She stepped forward, eyes burning with more than hate. "No," she said coldly. "We became what they made us." Mare drew a curved energy blade and lunged, but Reyes was faster. Her cybernetic reflexes blurred into motion. Their blades clashed, ancient steel against alien light. The fight was short. She pinned him. Her blade burned through his chest. As he collapsed, his visor cracked. She whispered, "Traitors don't get monuments. They get forgotten." She broadcast the kill feed across all Accord frequencies. The image of Mare's broken body, bleeding under the human banner, spread like wildfire. The message was clear. No one escapes the reckoning. The Ember Pact exfiltrated as the spire exploded behind them, collapsing the Akari dreadnought in its wake. The moon was gone, but the fire was still growing. In every sector, whispers turned to certainty. Greater than the humans are back, and they're not looking for peace. They call the operation Firefall. Not a battle, not a campaign. A reckoning. The Ember Pact had moved from the shadows to the center of the galactic stage. No longer whispers, no longer myth. Humanity had become something the Trifold Accord feared in their bones. Relentless, uncontainable, and united. Over the shattered moons of the coral expanse, fleets gathered, stolen ships refitted with Earth-born weaponry, salvaged alien dreadnoughts bearing the Ember Pact emblem. A burning circle, broken only by a single vertical slash. The mark of vengeance. At the head of the fleet, aboard a reborn Iron Requiem, Commander Rice stared at the final target. The solitary capital world, Lasir Prime, a bastion ringed by quantum shields, defended by 6 orbital fleet arrays and 100 Dread-class vessels. But the Pact didn't come to siege. They came to set the sky on fire. Initiate firefall, Rice ordered. In the silence before the storm, wormholes bloomed open, artificial folds driven by stolen Akiri quantum cores. And from them, like falling stars, came the Echo Revenants. Thousands, wrapped in ablative drop armor, fell from orbit like spears of fire. They struck the capital's outer shield with such force that it cracked like ancient glass. The Revenants tore through cities, infrastructure, power grids, igniting plasma reactors, overriding AI defenses, freeing prisoners long thought erased. Meanwhile, the Ember Pact's main fleet drove straight through the heart of the Xaltari Armada. Vanta, Rice's eye companion, had integrated with alien prediction algorithms, turning the Pact's fleet into a mirror of their enemies. Predictive, vicious, adaptive. 2 dreadnoughts down. Cole called from tactical. But we have a problem. A new blip emerged on the scanners. The Null Star, a superweapon built in secrecy by the Accord. Not a cannon, but a reality manipulator. It collapsed quantum probabilities into stable death. Systems shut down, stars flickered, matter unraveled. They're going to collapse the entire system, Cole said. They'll kill their own capital just to stop us. Rice stared at the data. The Null Star was drawing energy fast. In under 10 minutes, the entire sector would become a void grave. I'm going in, she said. You won't survive. That's never stopped me. With Vanta integrated into her neural rig, Rice took a strike pod directly toward the Null Star's control spire, flanked by 2 Revenant elites. They pierced its magnetic skin, bypassed singularity locks, and reached the core chamber, a swirling sphere of frozen time, housed inside a dimensionally folded cage. Vanta's voice in her mind. Greater than we have one chance. Overload the containment. Collapse the core before they stabilize the weapon. Rice placed her hand on the control node, her biosignature linked with the core. Pain ripped through her. Neural fire, fractured memory, earth, blood, flame. Her past surged forward, everything she'd lost, everyone she'd buried. And then silence. The Null Star collapsed inward, imploding instead of detonating. A controlled singularity. Destruction contained. The Ember Pact escaped just before the gravity ripples consumed the last Accord fleet. The capital was gone. The Accord fractured. And across the stars, the legend was no longer rumor. Greater than the humans returned, and they brought fire with them. Lasir Prime was gone. The Xaltari homeworld, once a jewel of civilization, now floated as a ring of glowing debris. The Trifold Accord had collapsed in a single sweep, its fleets shattered, its leaders dead, its planets in chaos. And at the center of it all, humanity stood reborn. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as survivors turned retribution incarnate. The Ember Pact, forged in exile, now formed the backbone of a new coalition, one not built on fear or control, but on memory. Memory of loss, of betrayal, of fire. From the rebuilt flagship Iron Requiem, Commander Aisha Rice watched the embers of war cool. Her face, once lined with vengeance, now held the distant calm of someone who had burned through everything and still stood. Her cybernetic systems hummed faintly. Vanta, still housed within her neural rig, spoke softly. Greater than the Accord has sent peace envoys. They offer unconditional surrender and reparations. Reyes didn't answer right away. She looked to the stars, quiet now, honest in their silence. Peace, she said. Funny word. Cole entered the bridge, scared, tired, but smiling. They're asking for terms. What should I tell them? Reyes finally turned, a faint light in her human eye. Tell them we'll take their peace, but we'll keep watching. Tell them Earth's gone, but the people who came from it aren't done yet. On the outer colonies, humans began rebuilding, terraforming forgotten rocks into homes, raising children beneath artificial skies. The Echo Revenants, those who had died and come back, now served as wardens, protectors of the new frontier. They weren't feared anymore. They were honored. A monument was erected on Mars' Olympus Mons, a towering statue of Reyes, blade sheathed, helm under one arm. At its base, an inscription, greater than, we were forged in the fire you lit beneath us. Greater than, and when you thought we were ash. Greater than, we came back burning brighter. Somewhere in the Orion Drift, a new ship blinked into real space. Small, stealth class, ember-packed design. It approached a dead Accord listening station and hijacked the signal array. A simple message transmitted across a dozen star sectors. Greater than, this galaxy is not yours to control. Greater than, we are the ones you try to erase. Greater than, we don't die easy. Greater than, we return, with fire. The message repeated in every known language. No threat, no demand, just a promise. In the dark corners of the galaxy, the remaining empires began to change. They rewrote their histories, erased files on Project Graveyard, denied their role in Earth's fall. But it didn't matter. The humans remembered, and more importantly, they were no longer alone.